Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk about my top 5 books of July and some basic July reading stats. I have a whole playlist of the top 5 videos from this year, so I'll leave that linked on the screen if you want to see a little bit more about the format and how I set this up, but essentially I'm going to go through my stats and then my top 5 books. And I talk about them from 5th to 1st because I hate doing best of lists at the end of the year, so hopefully this will help me. Maybe. Who knows? All right, so in the month of July, I read 63 books. I actually had 0 books carried over from July into August, which is a minor miracle because I feel like I've had a lot of books carried over this year. I'm a completionist. I like things to be done in like arbitrary timeframes. We just go with it. I read a total of 15,426 pages across those 26 books, 14,680 minutes or equivalent are read as an audiobook. And I talk about this a lot when I talk about my audiobook minutes. I speed everything up. The minimum listening speed for me is about 2.5 times fast. And yes, I can read and process things that fast. That's how my brain works. Any slower and I start to stop paying attention. So this is how I've trained my brain to do audiobooks. It's a thing. My average rating, I don't think I've talked about this before, but I have figured out how to do average ratings. And my average rating for books in July was 4.6 because I know how to pick my books. I had 1 DNF in the month of July. My most read genre at 53% was romance, and in terms of the subgenres of romance, it was paranormal romance this month, which surprised me actually. But I think that was all of the Kate Daniels rereading that I was doing. In terms of my library savings this month, I saved about $127 through using Libby and borrowing books and audiobooks. I saved about $13 through using KU this month because I finally got back into using that, and I've saved nearly $67 through using Kobo Plus, which is something new that I've only started in really the last week. So that's a lot of money savings in a week. And yes, that does take out the Kobo Plus subscription cost for the month. And I work all of that out in my lovely spreadsheet. I'll leave that linked on the screen if you haven't seen it. And then I actually posted 13 videos this month, which is a miracle, to be honest, given the haphazardness of the last couple of months. So we had the 4 weekly book state videos, we had my sapphic reading vlog, we had my June top 5 video, we had the second quarter stats, we had that random weekend vlog where I did a whole bunch of random nonsense, my 10-year anniversary video, which was the 10 things I've learned in 10 years on BookTube, my fantasy romance vlog, my current physical TBR, so what was left on my physical TBR, my video on moving to a Kobo, which has done, well, unsurprisingly, it's done really well in terms of views and things like that for my channel. It'll probably be up there as one of the top viewed videos at the end of the year. And also last week, the last thing that I posted was about my commonplace books, which I use to track quotes, mostly book quotes. So a rather successful reading month. Let's get into the books. In 5th place, I have A Rover's Story by Jasmine Warga, which is a middle fiction story about a Mars rover. We are in the perspective of the Mars rover. We are also in the perspective of a young girl who is the daughter of one of the programmers for Resilience, who is writing Resilience letters. I loved the way this book was told. Resilience is such an interesting character to be in the perspective of because Resilience is not human, but is trying to experience everything around himself in a way that helps him to fulfill his job, which is to find something interesting on Mars. He has relationships with his drone and also a satellite that's in orbit, and also feels a connection to the people who programmed him and is always curious about what is happening back on Earth once he's on Mars. The actual story takes place over 20 plus years because eventually something happens and Rez is offline on Mars and time passes before we get the next perspective from Rez, which is when he is returned home. It is very much about what it means to be human, what it means to feel things, what it means to connect with other individuals. And I love the fact that the timeline is kept through the letters that Sophie is writing to Rez because Rez does not track how much time has passed. Delightful book. I highly recommend it. It is wonderful. Then in 4th place, and I can't believe that this author is making a top list, but of all her books, this would be the one that would make the list, and that is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is a historical fiction book set in 1980 following Joan, who is a woman who has been admitted to NASA to be trained as an astronaut. And this is a bit of a dual timeline story as Joan is recruited by NASA and is trained, as well as things that are happening in the moment of the present day in the book, which is still in the 1980s, where Joan is the one in communication with a group of astronauts who are experiencing a major catastrophe in space. including Vanessa, who is one of the astronaut candidates that trained with her and who she has been in a relationship with, despite the fact that being queer and working in a government agency, especially one like NASA, was a very, very difficult thing to be. I think probably the reason that I enjoyed this so much is it is so much about space. It is so much about the process that goes into this kind of training, into the kind of people that are actually involved in it, and the fact that they have a passion for space. They see space and space exploration in a really interesting way. They are the idealists. They are the people that truly have wonder for what it is that they're doing. And I think that is what resonates more with me than anything else in this book. There are so many really great quotes in here, but I did read it. I listened to the audiobook. I was kind of immersive reading at times, but mostly I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook was great. Coming in third place is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, which is a fantasy romance book. It's the first book in a duology. We are following Sybil, who is a diviner, and she has lived most of her life hidden away in a cathedral divining for others, and in order to divine things she needs to be drowned. So she goes through her days and weeks being drowned multiple times. Like, what even is that? At the very start of the book, the newly appointed king comes to receive a divination. She's the person who divines for him, and the omens are not good. But what we discover is that the diviners are not maybe what they seem to be. The diviners themselves don't even really know that. The omens are more than what they seem, and that maybe the abbess, who has been Sybil's closest confidant, is not who she seems to be. And all of this is challenged by Roderick, who is a knight who comes in and starts questioning everything. I didn't even mention Bartholomew, the gargoyle in this book, who was undeniably my favourite part of this book series, but I won't talk about it more. Go watch the vlog if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on Bartholomew, because he was my favourite. I had a wonderful time with this, and I'm very, very excited to read book 2 when it comes out later this year. I also read Sea of Charms by Sarah Beth Durst, and I was lucky enough to get both an e-arc and a physical arc, which is amazing. And this is the third book in the Spell Shop series, and we are following Marin, who is a sea trader. She works as a supply runner, and when everything is happening, she's one of the characters that we kind of see in the other books kind of tangentially. She pops up in those books, and this is her story. And we find out that she's trying to pay off a debt, and she gets caught up in all of the happenings in the capital because she ends up rescuing a group of people, taking them to a safe place while everything is playing out, including Dax, who is a musician and composer. And it's their relationship, it's their romance throughout the course of the book. We also have Perry, who is a talking plant, who we met in the second book. The whole thing is just magical and delightful, and I have the best time with these books because they're just so beautiful and cozy. They're my kind of cozy fantasy romance. There's a little bit of magic, there's a lot of whimsy. What's not to like? And then, completely surprising the heck out of me, is Books and Broadswords by Jessie Mihalik. Not because I don't think Jessie Mihalik isn't a good writer. I've enjoyed Jessie Mihalik's writing before. I'm just surprised that this top 5 list is so fantasy romance heavy, because I'm me. So Books and Broadswords is actually 2 short stories in a collection. So this is volume 1, and they follow dragons. So that could be why they ended up in the top position, because I do like a dragon book. I also like a really well-crafted novella, and I think I talked about it in the vlog where I was reading this. Like, it's really difficult nowadays to find new novella length stories that are really well told, that they're not trying to do too much or too little in the space. And the first novella follows a female dragon and a knight who end up crossing paths, and the second book is about a witch and a dragon who end up in forced proximity. And they were just delightful and short and really, really lovely to read. Like, they're the perfect bite-sized story with enough depth to them that you sit there and go, I would like to know more, but I'm also happy with the amount of information that I've been given. If a novella can do that, it brings me so much joy. And hopefully there is a second volume and some more stories. I don't know if there'll be dragons still, but I do like a dragon story, and I loved that one of the dragons in this was a female dragon, and that her dragon hoard was books. Because aren't we all book dragons? We're bookish people, we're book dragons. And that is my top 5 books for July. In the comments, I'd love to know, have you read any of these books? Are you planning on picking any of them up? Or what were some of your top reads for the month? Feel free to share that down below. If you'd like to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a dragon or a sword emoji in the comments. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.